friend, happy new year, happy 2020. Today I'm going to discuss about the security feature introduced in the Spring Boot. So we can do the same thing using the Spring, but Spring Boot is the real fast. So what we are going to do in Spring Boot, the RESTful API, we can make it secure using authentication, that URL making authentication, and also the role, that is we are going to allow only the admin role, that's authorization. So how to secure REST API using basic authentication and the authorization. So authentication is the URL and authorization is for the user role. So let me develop microservice and implement the security, Spring Boot and Spring Security. Spring Boot provided default security logging. That means suppose any REST API has already been marked as secure, and when you are not authorized or authenticated, then you are not authorized, or any URL is not authenticated, then what you get, that you are getting secure login page. So here you have to mention the username and password to log into the system. In Spring, in the properties file, just for the basic, in the properties file you can do that. Before that, you have to select, say, Spring Security. Okay, so and the Spring Boot Dev Tool and the Spring Web, that's a basic thing. Okay, and what it will make as security, in the pom.xml you will find the Spring Security features, and in the application itself, main page, okay, here if you mention @enable web security, by default if you put the localhost 8080, you will get that login page. Okay, and as you have marked as a security and get the security features in the pom.xml, now let me see what is the security feature. Okay, let me check. Here we can see the security features, that is Spring Boot Starter Security, and for the testing, Spring Security Test. And I have implemented the Swagger, that Swagger UI, Swagger 2, and I have and JPA H2 database. So although I have not used JPA or H2 database, I will use later when we need in-memory database, H2 database connection. Okay, so here what I have done, here I have mentioned @enable web security. Here @enable web security implements that when you are trying to access any controller, you will get that login page. So here I have make two controller. One is the Auth, that app controller. So this has been exposed. Another one is that NoAuth controller. This one has been exposed. Now if I just mention in the properties file username, Spring provided username and password, Spring Security username and Spring Security user password, say my name Ravi and password say P, and in the application itself you have mentioned enable web security. Okay, what happened when you are trying to access any REST API, you will find that pop up, or rather than login page, so it will redirect to login page. So let me do that. So it's by default port it's a 8080. Here let me open new browser. Okay, that's one of the issue for the Spring Security. Every time you have to use a new browser, otherwise it stored the data in the cookies. So here you see that login page is coming, but I have given only the 8080 login. If I just give like anything, So what happened, you will see that bad credential. Okay, so it's a error page. Now let me give the correct one. What I have mentioned, that Rabi as the here in the properties, username as a Rabi and password as a P. After giving it, so you are getting that white label error page. This is not actually error, that if you just localhost 8080, so you have to give the correct one, correct API. Okay, so app controller, so here it's the auth and it's the get message. Okay, here you will get that secure spring secure example. So this one has been invoked, and also NoAuth. So you will get it. Okay, now let me try another thing. I just close this one and open another browser and directly paste the URL itself. Although it's a NoAuth, but I am still getting the login page. Okay, that it's validating me. Okay, for NoAuth I have to give the username password. Now let's try for the auth. So there we also need to give the username password. Okay, so here both the case I have to give it. Okay, now think about that. I want to secure only the auth URL. Okay, I don't want to secure that this URL, no authentication required. So only few things will be secured. So what to do? So in that case, will not use the username password from the properties. There we have to write the config. Okay, not Swagger config, is the Spring Security config. Let me uncommented this section. Okay, here I have already written multiple features here. So here itself is I let me stop that one, otherwise we'll continuously getting the error message. Okay, so delete that, and what our requirement is. So here multiple scenario I have written. Okay, so let me go one by one. Okay, so what I need to do, I also comment out this section. Let me allow only the one user authentication. Okay, say only admin role, user with the admin role. Okay, and in configure everything will be there. Okay, so here it will not, it's role wise. Okay, it will not get from the username password, so I can just comment it out because it doesn't matter whether I write it or not. Okay, so here everything managed by this configure. So what I need to do in the configuration, Spring Security config extends web security configure adapter, and here we have defined role for the authentication authentication, that is authorized user, that is particular role defined. And here what we define, that if we just write any request, it will allow any URL. So first one is for the role, second one, that is role and user ID password I have defined, second one is the URL. Okay, and this one is for the password encoder. So the password, so here I am giving the user ID password, right? So this password should not be printed or should not be visible, okay, to the hacker. So it is going to encode it. Okay, now let me uh, uh, run the maven install. Okay, then I'm going to run the application. Okay, then I'm going to check this role, particular role. So earlier what I have done, I have mentioned in the properties file. Now I'm going to mention in the configure uh, uh, file itself. Okay, is this configuration file. Okay, and let me run this application. So let me check once it's completed. Okay, then I will test it. By that time I close that, all that stuff. So here what I need to do, uh, here instead of reading properties file from the configure itself, it will going to check, and as I have mentioned, it's also same result like earlier it was checking from the properties file, here it's from the configuration. Okay, so what I need to do, let me write localhost 8080. You see that pop-up has been come. If I just give Ruby, which is mentioned in the properties file, so it's not authenticated. The authenticated username, that is Roddur, and give this one. So now you have to give the controller itself. Okay, any controller, all the all the REST API is still secure. Okay, I have not filtered anything. So first check with the authorized. Okay, so this is one of the controller, I make it auth controller. Okay, so this is after giving user ID password. Same thing I am going to give for the another controller. Where is another one? It's a NoAuth. So here also same thing, I have to mention the user ID and password. So here only one user ID has been mentioned. Okay, so both are there. Okay, so if I mention other one also, so it doesn't matter, any role also. Okay, so other user, earlier it was not allowed, so multiple role has been defined, so two role has been allowed here. Okay, so let restart completed, and what I am going to do, I'll check for the other user. So multiple user and multiple role. Okay, here we have allowed. So here I can check for another user, Swagata, and I am getting it. Okay, same thing I can do it for another auth URL. No, I am giving for auth URL. So both the case I am getting the data, and everywhere that user ID password is checking, because here the any URL is allowing. Okay, next one, what I am trying to do, I am allowing for the secure auth URL only, not the auth and the non-auth URL. Okay, so since I have included the dev tool, so it will automatically compile once the code has been changed. What I have written here you see that earlier I have written any request, here I have written any matcher start with the auth. Okay, here is start with the auth and the other one start with the no auth. So I am targeting this one, that auth controller will be secure. Okay, so let's try it. Okay, let me close that one. Here I can give any, as I have mentioned, right? I can give anything. I can give Roddur also, irrespective of it. Okay, so secure one is fine. That means secure one required user ID password where start with the auth. Okay, but if I just take the non-auth, you will find no user ID password will be asking here. Okay, let me copy the non-auth URL. So this is the NoAuth, and this is not filtered for the authentication. So here you see that you don't find any user ID password provision here. Okay, now next one, what I am going to do in the configuration, so case 2a allowed auth user only. It's not auth user, authenticate URL. Any users, any role is authorized, any authorized user will be able to do that. Okay, next what I am going to do, role based authentication. Okay, what is that role based authentication? Here is the role based authentication. What I have done, not only authenticate URL, I have also checked that whether the role is admin or not. So here the non-admin, say user role, will not be allowed here. Okay, okay, so this is the for the role admin and the user role, and you can have multiple role, but allowed only the admin role, and the URL starts with the auth, that is secure, and there you will get the login page. Okay, now what I'm going to do, first with the no auth. Okay, for the no auth I will, so here I don't use the auth, here I have used the no auth, but I have used the admin role. Let me check. Okay, So here uh, auth users and the admin role. Okay, since I have given Roddur, so we got it. Okay, but if we use authenticate users with a different role, say Swagata, you will find that forbidden. So it's not allowing, only the admin role will be allowed. So with authenticate and admin role will be allowed. Okay, okay, so I will cover the other stuff what I have discussed so far. If you need role-based security or particular function, so access admin only, what I have already mentioned. Role-based authentication, customized security configuration, and here I have made that in-memory authentication, right? We can do that from the database also. So with password, where is the password required? So if it is password required, it's irrespective of it. Okay, if we mark it as secure, okay, here Roddur admin, and since it's the any request everywhere for the authorized one also we get that login page, and non-authorized also get this login page. Okay, and is you can keep that properties with the username password, but it doesn't matter. Okay, and for secure auth URL only, uh, here if we make that secure auth URL only, so where it starts with the auth, it will be secure, you will get the login page. Otherwise if you directly hit, you will get the no authentication, you will not uh, be challenging. Okay, so only the auth user will be secure. Okay, now the second and the last one, allow the auth URL and the admin role only. Okay, so auth URL and also the admin role. If it is the admin role, you will be able to get the page, okay, secure. And otherwise if you use the non-admin user role, you will get this a non-admin, and it's a forbidden. Okay, this way we can mark our REST API secure by using Spring authentication. Interesting thing is that user ID password, that page you have not created, it's provided by the Spring. Okay, hope you enjoy the video. uh, Happy New Year once again, and it's the beginning of 2020. Be secure, use Spring Boot, and make your REST API secure, and so that hacker cannot compromise it, okay, for any reason. Okay, thank you very much.